I try to learn branded. Let's.
You know, as much as I want to make a video called Overanalyzing Branded, I think we can all agree that this is actually Overanalyzing Branded.
Really
And if
think so?
anyone has actually finished this video and watched it to completion, then let me know in the comments and we can be like blood brothers. And
I really wanted to watch this video and the previous one too. It's 25 hours and I wanted to upload a reaction and hopefully the reaction will be at least like 40 hours, right? But it's like it wouldn't be me, right? It would be my editor who will have to do that. So I don't want to subject my editor to that. But like yeah, I don't know. It's insane this video. I wonder how long it took to make. I started watching it. I went like into an hour of it and it was like, yeah, this is actually like not a meme. This is actually real. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe one day I will react to it on stream. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. Let me know in the comments if you want me to react to the whole thing. But yeah, let's focus right now on crispy applesauce.
we can still get you help, don't worry. Jokes aside, Brandon's a deck that's always been on my radar as something I've wanted to play. I tasted the tiniest crumb of a branded engine when I first joined back into the game with Draco Tail, and my second video ever was me retroactively reacting to the Fallen and Virtuous Chronicles animation, which is just an awful video, by the way.
It's not awful, it's so good. What are you talking about? It's very different to the other videos and what we are like accustomed now, but it's definitely not bad. It's definitely not awful.
That it's the second video I ever made, but feel free to hate watch it. But whenever I asked people about Branded and if it's a deck I should actually learn, I usually was met with a response that fell into one of two categories. Something along the lines of, I would let Cartesia step on.
What the hell is this? A different illustration of Cartesia, it's huge. The pressure of Cartesia's breasts. I can't get Cartesia's Oppa out of my head. Well, this is really nice art, but like I feel like people focus too much on this. First of all, I never realized the tummy. Really nice, but can you see the art behind all the hands? That's so good. That's so good. All about this is great. So yeah. Anyway.
Me. And the other would be that I should avoid it because the deck is incredibly hard. And then they would link me April's 19-hour branded guide, which has been upgraded to a 25-hour guide, by the way. Y'all are fake April fans sending me the old one. But I mean, there's truth in the memes, right? I've been playing Branded for about 2 months now in Master Duel, and I even went the extra mile to buy the physical cards so I can play Branded in paper. And you would think after all this time I would be able to confidently say that I know how to play Branded. But in reality, I feel like I've barely scratched the surface. So instead of my usual format where I learn a deck and then compare my experiences with it to just generalized card game theory, I wanted to instead share my experiences learning what's arguably the hardest deck in the game from basically zero knowledge. And I want to talk about 3 sequential learning methods that I took to try to learn this deck.
Learning methods? That's so interesting. Wait, hold on. Maybe we can actually learn something. Wait. It's not about the memes. I have a dark monster in the field. Opponent fuses. My opponent has... Okay, I have a dark monster in the field. What the hell is going on?
And how effective it actually was. And as a bonus at the end, I'll talk about my experiences playing TCG for the first time over the table in almost 13 years. Mostly because we're going to wrap back around to the TCG anyway. And first, I think it's important to actually look at how I personally learn decks, since everyone learns differently. And for me, my learning process looks a little something like this. First, I basically go online and I net deck something because I know it's going to function, but then I just take it right into solo mode and I just practice it blind. Because at least for me, just clicking around and finding out is a good way to familiarize myself with the actual card effects and what they do, including their secret effects. That's so weird to me. I feel like the combos are like so, how do I say this? Like how efficient? Like they are already solved, right? There's a correct way of doing things. So I don't know. I feel like I go to the Moha video first for some decks, but it depends on the vibes. I feel like it depends on the vibes of the deck. I don't know how to explain it. I did this, I'm pretty sure, with Predaplants. I actually did it with Predaplants, remember?
we were like finding out on that was one of the first ever streams here, right? Was it? I'm pretty sure it was. Where we just trying to find out with vibes what does it do, and we just drawing cards and fusing things without knowing what the end board will look like. And the truth is that the end board was always different, and it was never good. I still have like trouble with it, but yeah, you need to get the specific right cards and do specific combos in order to get a good end board. So maybe that experiment for me wasn't good, but yeah, I don't know. We can try it again.
But once I'm more familiar with the cards, then I look up a guide and see how close I was to the actual optimal strategies. And usually I'm way off. But familiarizing myself with the cards first allows me to understand the why each step flows into the next when trying to understand this combo. But with my system in place, the first step of me learning this deck is playing it blindly. How much can I learn about the deck by simply reading the cards and then just trying to learn it organically? And this story actually starts near the end of February, because one comment that I got a lot on my first video was that if you like the themes of Yu-Gi-Oh, then you would love the Chronicles animation. And you know what? I did love it. I'm sorry for not assuming that every purple-haired anime girl is Fleur, but I still loved it enough to where shortly after I watched it, I went to Walmart and I bought 3 of the Chronicles structure decks. Then I just went on TCG Player, I bought staples like Ash Blossom, Fua, and Droll, and then I just went right to locals. And I don't think it's spoilers to say that I went 0-6 at my first tournament ever playing Branded.
Really, my goat is washed. My goat is washed. I was expecting... I was expecting better. I'm so sorry. But I am disappointed. I'm not mad, just disappointed.
With my only knowledge of it being a 3-card Branded package in Draco Tail. And it was immediately obvious to me when I sat down for my first game how high the skill level for this deck actually is.
Dude, what the hell? Why does this, like, this meme is so powerful? When you go to the restroom at locals and you look in the mirror? Garbage Lord? I'm sorry.
Is, and how unforgiving it is to play. The deck was basically so hard that I almost felt like I just wanted to put the deck down and just play something else until the Branded cards came out in Master Duel so I could...
Yeah, that was what I was thinking. Why would you start playing in the TCG when you're already used to Master Duel? Why would you start with, first of all, a different deck? And why Branded, right? I feel like you'll have a much easier time trying something like Sky Striker, right? That you already know how to play, and it's not easy, but it's simpler, right? It requires more knowledge about your opponent more than anything. So I don't know.
Could actually practice it.
Very brave.
And fast forwarding to June, that's exactly what happened. The cards released into Master Duel, and there was a ton of hype around it. And to me, this was a way to finally learn the deck that's been sitting on my desk over there for over a month. And I think the thing that makes Branded so hard to learn organically is that it's just such a non-linear deck. You can basically play it however you want. The top list you see are mid-range decks, but you can add tier limits in there and turn it into combo slop. You can put a heavier Dogmatica pack.
So CrossFit's extra deck, thank you. The why was basically because it was the most recent structure deck that came out. I didn't know how hard it was when I bought it. Oh, okay, makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense.
Package in there and make it more of a control deck. Even the stun players can get in on the action if they want to use Sanctifier for war crimes. And normally I'm very optimistic that someone can learn a deck organically just as long as they understand the deck's concepts. But I don't actually feel that way with Branded. This is the kind of deck that lets you activate literally everything, but punishes you really hard if you do activate everything. You need to be precise with every activation you make, because one wrong slip up and you can break your entire board before you even pass your turn. And to add to this might just be a skill issue, but it just feels like the deck leads you in the wrong direction when you actually try to learn it organically. And this caused me to learn some bad habits that I needed to break after I ended up watching the guides. And I think the perfect example here is Branded Fusion, one of the deck's most infamously powerful cards. Everything in the deck reads as if Branded Fusion is the most important card to find in your deck. And when you look at all the tutor effects in the deck, it really seems like it's pointing you in the direction that Branded Fusion...
Wait, I'm processing this meme. Society, if people realize Ash Blossom and Yo-Yo Spring is always outdated as an interruption and can even backfire the current meta? What? Branded Fusion time. Yeah, that looks good. Ship it out. Does it look good? Oh, okay. I understand. I understand the meme. It's them who made this meme because this is clearly wrong and they are trying to trick people. Okay, okay, okay. I see. I see. I was like, the way that this was written was like, wait, what? That sounds like someone who's trying to make an actual argument. And it's like, oh, okay, okay. I understand.
Is your main playmaker. But in reality, Branded Fusion is like Plan E. It's maybe your 5th or 6th best starter, and playing for Branded Fusion just makes the deck overall weaker. And look, again, I get it, it's probably a skill issue, but I'm sure if you had a non-Yu-Gi-Oh player sit down and read these—
Oh boy. Baron, Yu-Gi-Oh is way too complicated. Go there. You have to actually read the cards. I did read the cards. You had Foxy and Debug on normal Gazelle. You don't read all the cards?
these cards for the first time, they would also think that Branded Fusion is the main playmaker of this deck. So not—
Boy, this is a little hard to follow.
They would also think that
there's
Branded
so
Fusion
many
is—
memes. The Yogi Salvas one's Ash gone, yeah. Oh, you're a light and dark monster with a graveyard effect, just chilling in the deck, minding your own biz. What?
is the main playmaker of this deck. So not only does learning this deck organically feel impossible, but it feels like it leads you down the wrong path and actually corrupts your information. And obviously someone had to learn it organically or else these guides wouldn't exist. But those people are just honestly built different. It would probably take thousands of games for me to be truly competent with this deck if I learned it completely blind from all outside information. But let's be honest, most people don't learn decks blind. Instead, they go to guides, which brings—
That's what you have to do, right? I mean, that's if you want to learn. I feel like it makes sense learning one deck organically if you already know that that's the only deck that you're gonna play, right? But if you want to play, you want to play different decks, you don't have time to learn them by yourself. You have to do the thing. I think. I don't know.
Brings us to our next learning method, YouTube
Have you added the deck
videos.
into the—
And normally this
Oh,
isn't even a
okay.
step in the adventure for me, right? It's basically just one sentence where I say I watched a 15-minute guide, everyone in the comments shouts for the main combo, and then we all golf clap for Moa. But Branded is an incredibly complicated deck, and maybe you can showcase one or two main lines in a 15-minute video, but you're not gonna cover everything, not even close. The man himself even had to post multiple times.
Christ. Well, it's important to learn the combos. It's also important to know that Branded is generally a freestyle deck, and you once you start it, many ways of disruptions. Hello everyone. But I like to address negatives first. My guides are meant to learn combos. So if you want in-depth guide videos, I'm afraid this isn't the channel you're looking for. If I make mistakes, leave a comment and I will definitely acknowledge. Thank you, everyone. Based. Absolutely based.
That this is not a definitive guide. It's just an example of how the end board is supposed—
I don't think... I'm surprised if anyone actually think that you already know everything about the deck while watching a Moha video. He just shows you what the deck can do, right? She showed you the most ideal, one of the most ideal or some of the best some of the most ideal combos, right? And then it's never gonna go like that because there is always hand traps, right? You already know the idea, you already know what you can do, right? In the best scenario, quote unquote, right? So yeah, I don't know why anyone would think that that's a definitive guide. Why would there be a 25 hours guide? That was a definitive one. 15 minutes? Nah, you're crazy. It's just to get a vibe for that. Like,
to look. And his top response to this on his own video is, what about the Golden Sword Soul combo? Like, broski, chill, this man does not have 25 hours to explain this to you. But I know someone who does. April here has the unofficial world record for the longest singular deck guide in TCG history. And
is it actually? Racing.
Before you guys mention that there's a 37-hour
Yeah, that's exactly because you showed this like a few minutes ago.
branded guide by Metagames GX, I don't count it. Like
Why?
many of you did, I jumped around in the video to see if it was actually all branded information before diving into it myself. And the first spot I jumped to is the 30-hour mark, where it was just a stream highlight where he was talking to his chat about Jujutsu Kaisen. And look, man, I
No, he's just like me. No.
respect the grind. I thought the video was good, the stream highlights were fun, but I just can't call it a full consecutive guide. However, April's is, to my knowledge, the only one that is start to finish pure branded information, as well as it just being the original meme. It's almost 3 hours of going over relevant cards, then 15 hours of combos, followed by 3.5 hours of deck lists, with the last 3 hours being gameplay analysis to explore different lines or options in very complex board states. Oh, and their call to action, telling you to subscribe, is in the last 4 minutes of a 25-hour video, and I kinda respect it. And I figured it wouldn't truly be a branded video if I didn't put April's guide to the test. So I watched this whole thing in 2-hour chunks. And I'm glad I finished it, but holy shit, my brain's short-circuited by like the 17-hour point. And this puts learning through guides in a weird situation, right? Like, the guides are either too short and don't tell the player enough information and they get lost in the sauce when trying to do their own combos, or you watch a guide that's so long that by the end of it, I pretty much forgot everything that was said at the beginning. Obviously, I went with option 2 here, but regardless of which guide you pick, they're going to put you in the right direction, but you're not going to leave either of them feeling like you truly know the deck. And I feel like that's vastly different than other card games. Even the most complicated decks in Magic like Doomsday can be explained in a 20-minute video, and by
That's the fun part, right? That's the fun part about Yu-Gi-Oh!
the end of that video, you feel like you pretty much know 90% of what the deck is actually capable of. I think these guys play an important role when it comes to the learning process, but there's just no way you could ever retain all of this information. So the real question is, how much information did I retain from a 25-hour info drop?
Isn't this like technically like longer than some like college classes, like in total? You know what I mean? Because like how many hours in a semester? Or like a week? I don't know, depends on like probably less than this, right? So this is more than a whole college class in some cases. Interesting. Well, don't look at me, I actually don't know how that works, but you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like in total, it's like you're not supposed to consume this. Like I will wait. Hold on. Maybe we got this. Maybe we can watch this in like chunks, like every week. Like I don't know. Let's say every Tuesday, 4 p.m. Right? And we watch it as if it's a college class. And it's like, oh my god, today's like lesson was really something, right? You do it like that, and then you process, and you have time to process what you learn instead of watching it like every day, right? You have like a week to process and think about it and do homework about it. Maybe that would be the way. Yes. And taking notes. Wait, hold on. Maybe that's the way to actually learn branded. Interesting. We'll have to put a pin on that. But yeah, let's see how it works.
So if I got this wrong, everyone yell at April. But to spitball the basics of what I learned about branded, the whole deck is centered around 4 cards: Quem, Cartesia, Ecclesia, and White Albaz. Your first priority when playing this deck is to get those 4 cards into rotation. Once you do have those 4
Is this AI? I think it is.
cards in rotation, the deck opens up to basically 15 hours worth of combos. But as long as you have these 4 cards in either your hand, field, or graveyard, then you're in a pretty good spot. And from there, it's basically just a freestyle deck. Like, yes, there are some optimal 1 or 2 card combos, but you're not actually looking at this deck through the lens of a 1 or 2 card combo. But instead, every hand you get is a 5 card combo. Everything from a dead Fulos to Albaz himself is going to change and dictate what your end board is going to actually look like. And like when you hear people say it's going to change...
I need to, okay. Yeah, ain't that the truth? What are you doing out here? Searching, same as you. I don't know what I'm looking for. I don't even know who I am. They used to use you in a tier 0. I'm missing something.
Dictate what your end board is going to actually look like. And like when you hear people say 5-card combo, they usually associate it with a meme where someone needs 5 very specific cards. But with Branded, basically any 5 cards you draw is going to be your 5-card combo. The cards just flow so well into each other.
Really?
And the goal of the deck is to basically just out-resource your opponent with its ridiculous recursion. You aren't making 15 disruption end boards and trying to blow your opponent out of the water, but instead you just make incredibly layered end boards that put your opponent in really bad situations where you can just start to take over the game. I mean, this deck basically has no Omni Negates unless you use Light and Darkness Dragonlord. The closest it has to an Omni Negate is maybe Branded Regained, which is a Solemn Warning.
I'm done and said regain instead of retribution. Oh.
Or Mercurial or Rinbram, which is a conditional monster negate. And I honestly like this. Spot removal is honestly one of my favorite forms of disruption, and I think it's one of the funnest forms of disruption for both me as the person playing the deck.
Target pop bounce, non-target removal, tribute for Kaiju Post, banish face down, make your opponent. Ooh, make your opponent. Honestly, banish face. Banish face. Is it the cards that are banish face down that do that? Is the cards that I don't like because it makes sense. Make your opponent. Yeah, I guess it depends on the deck, but.
And my opponent playing against the deck. But after what was essentially an entire college course of information, it was...
Wait, you said it! You said the college course information. Did you say that before and that's when I got it? I don't know.
Info to the test and see how well I could actually play Branded. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I kind of suck at Branded. I tried to give myself every knowledge advantage possible, and this deck is still incredibly difficult to play. But I really mean this in the best way possible. Every loss feels like you could have turned it around if you just played it a little differently. Almost 100% of the time.
No, I like to play rogue decks and then be like, oh, there is nothing that I would have done. My deck is just not as good as the opponent meta ships. Yeah, no, nothing that I could have done.
Feels like you've lost to your own decisions and not because your opponent said you're not allowed to play the game. And there's just an insane amount of skill expression in Branded. There's a lot of mirror matches that just left me completely flabbergasted as I watched my opponent do something that I didn't even know I could do with my own cards. And this exact moment that I'm talking about, I think is the third and best way to learn Branded. Experience. Because look, if I'm being completely honest, I don't remember most of April's video, but I do hear your voice in my sleep now, so take that as you will. But the lines I do remember are maybe a cool sequence where my opponent chain blocked an Albaz that lost me the game. I add that little trick to my arsenal, and then I lose to some other cool sequence, and I add that one to my arsenal too. I do think it's beautifully ironic that in an age where we have instant information at our fingertips and 62 hours of Branded guides between 2 creators alone, one of the best ways to learn this deck is still just experience. And I understand why this deck has such a cult following now. I could probably play this deck for a year and still be finding new lines. There's probably no deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! That allows your skill, knowledge, and dedication to it shine through more than Branded. And honestly, no amount of guides can replace that experience.
Okay. You know what? I feel like this is doing the opposite for me. All of this is making me not want to play Branded. I have all the cards. I already have all the cards. I like it. I tried it, and then I was like, no, this is not for me. And then I was waiting for this video and be like, okay, maybe this is the push that I need to actually play it. And now I'm even less interested. Like, I feel like I'm gonna dismantle all of that and build Gem Knights. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do after this.
And now a lot of you might be sitting here thinking to yourself, Crispy, this is a stupid video. That's just how learning works. But this method of learning only works on Master Duel because I'm able to play game after game at my own pace until I've got it down. And I've had this deck built since basically March for paper play, but I ended up putting it down until it released until Master Duel. And this learning experience, I think, really gave me an epiphany of why Yu-Gi-Oh! Is just so unapproachable when it comes to the paper game. Imagine this, same situation, except I'm not Crispy Applesauce. I'm just a guy who saw the animations, got excited, and decided to buy these structure decks at once.
Oh my god, that sounds like the worst possible scenario for any player, dude. It's like watching Arcane and getting into League. Yeah, no, that's what it is.
Walmart. I go through the same sequences of learning this deck where I start organically and I get absolutely rolled, which is okay, so I just need to go watch some guides. If the guides get you in the right direction, you're having a little more fun, but you're still getting absolutely rolled. You're nowhere close to even competent with the deck still. So at this point, you clearly need the experience. But this is TCG now, not
You missed the opportunity to make a Saikuno meme in there. Dang.
Master Duel. For a lot of people, Locals is only a once-a-week event, so how many months or years is it going to take to get that level of experience when you're only playing like 12 games a week? And this experience gap in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is way larger than in any other card game. Again, with a game like Magic, I can watch a guide and understand 90% of what the deck does, go to Locals, and perform alright. And meanwhile, while you're trying to learn this incredibly hard deck, you're just getting steamrolled every single week at Locals. And for a lot of people, you can't just invest into buying a new deck because you didn't like this one. So for a lot of people, I can just imagine someone dropping the game because of this. I can understand them getting demoralized when they see this insurmountable mountain that they have to actually climb. And the rules of TCG itself don't make this any easier for you either. And call me magic brained if you want, but the hardest thing I found transitioning from Master Duel to paper play wasn't the addition of side decks or a lack of prompts. It was actually the lack of note taking. And look, I'm not asking for magic levels of note taking where I'm gonna write down your whole hand if you reveal it, but at least let me write down things like which monsters already used their once per turn effects. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not only asking its players to comprehend a dynamic and complex board state, but it's also asking its players to do that while also just memorizing these kind of things to maintain a legal game state. And
you're not gonna take notes, right? So you just have to, like, if you see your opponent like add cards, you cannot make notes on what cards are in your opponent's hand. That's what it means. That's interesting. That's another level of difficulty that shouldn't be necessary, I think. But it creates more entertaining games because you can forget. I don't know about that. I don't know. It feels weird.
I don't think Konami really cares too much about things like this. I mean, on Master Duel, you can just click on a card, and if it has a yellow check mark next to it, then it used its effect. But in TCG, if you forget, you basically just have to guess based on your collective memory of the turn. Even as someone who's entering the TCG with a solid grasp on this game because of Master Duel, it still felt so unapproachable. But despite being incredibly hard and unapproachable, I will concede that TCG is probably the best way to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And I don't think it has anything to do with the card game.
Interesting.
Because if we're being honest here, the card game is actively pushing new players away. But just being able to joke around with your opponent when you make a major blunder makes it fun instead of frustrating. Having people to bullshit with after the game lets you forget about those 2 bricks that you drew 2 turns in a row. As much as
that's the difference between you and me. Well, that's one, right? Talking to people is what makes it more scary to me. And why I don't even want to get close to that.
Master Duel and being able to play on my own schedule, it's easy to forget that the best way to play any card game is over the table with other people. It's not about the game itself, but it's just about the people you meet. And at the time of recording this, I still haven't topped any of my Locals once with Brandon. I'm still just as bad at it, but I'm still having so much fun because of the aspects that aren't Yu-Gi-Oh! Around playing TCG. And I think if you ever wanted to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And had the same hesitations like me about the game being so hard and complicated, just go anyway.
No.
I can promise you that you'll probably have so much fun purely just based on the people you meet.
No,
Plus, it's just never been easier to get into paper play. Like, look at the cost of the...
Oh, wait. What is that expensive? I have a lot of those. Tell them.
these staples. If this was Magic or Pokemon, this would be like hundreds of dollars to get these.
Really?
Also, TCG Player was crazy enough to give me an affiliate link that everyone except me can use, and using it supports the channel, so links in the description below. So even though I'm not a branded guru, despite April haunting my dreams for the foreseeable future, I still feel like I learned a lot, not only about the deck itself, but the experience that some people have to go through when it comes to learning a card game as complicated as Yu-Gi-Oh! Or a deck as complicated as Branded. I'm going to continue to play this deck at locals. Maybe one day I'll feel confident enough to bring it into a regional, and we'll see how that goes. But until then, I just need experience. And if you guys like this video, why not consider liking or subscribing? Your individual support goes a long way at supporting small creators like me, and I couldn't thank you guys
Wait,
enough.
there is way
As
more
always,
people
thank you to
now.
my channel members. This
That's
list
a lot
is
of
continually
people.
growing, and I really couldn't fucking thank these guys enough. They're fucking awesome. Oh, and due to popular demand, I have a Discord now, so feel free to pop in, shoot the shit, share a meme, or just lurk. I don't judge. But if you don't, I still hope you guys have a beautiful and a wonderful day. Love you guys. Bye.
Oh, there it is. Join right now. I'm joining right now. Do it, chat. So yeah, very interesting. We might not try Branded now. I feel like
skill.
But basically, what I get from this is like it's just too hard. I like the idea in theory, but I feel like I'm just too bad of a player to get into it at the time. Maybe in the future. I don't know. Should I dismantle all the cards? We'll make a poll or something, because I really feel like, yeah, that's not it for me. I don't think this is. So yeah.